Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment.
Hello and welcome everybody to this Mastery Empowerment course. My name is Merissa Indigo and I'm so excited that we're going to be doing Lightbody Prana Yoga Series 2 together, focusing on restorative yoga, restoration, regeneration, relaxation, and grounding and support, and just really feeling stabilized as a sacred practice of self-care through the end of the year together. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to share a few things before we dive in together. Restorative yoga is different in that it's extremely passive in the best sense of the word, and we're going to be working with props, and there's a lot that's going to be happening in the process of settling. And so I just wanted to give a little intro for those who may be new to the practice of restorative yoga. The entire process of restorative yoga is one of settling. So there's discomfort as it arises. It needs to be addressed immediately. And what I mean by discomfort is, as we keep going into the practice, you'll see more, but perhaps over time, a prop that we're using is too high. Maybe there's too much of an arch in our back, or maybe our shoulder, feels off, or our throat feels crunched. You're going to start to build this really sensitive awareness. It's called proprioception, to how the body is feeling in orientation to space and how it's propped up for maximum opening. And because we're in these poses for some time, some of these poses will be in anywhere from 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes. You're going to start to notice that the body, with the breath and with gravity, starts to melt and soften open. And with that, you may notice that we need less proppage as you start to sink, as the body starts to open towards the floor. So I just really want to emphasize this process of settling. And if you're new to props and propping with yoga in the body, these poses may require a lot of rearranging. I just want to let you know that. Don't ever feel like, oh, I can't move, or this I feel kind of crooked, but I don't want to move. That's what it's all about, is really tuning in, sensing, oh, do I feel off? And this is a metaphor for life in a way, because we're starting to see where there's perhaps a little bit of rearranging that could happen so that we are more comfortable. And it's also building kind of an entrainment within us to not settle for any level of discomfort. We're going to start to become more sensitized to that as we go. So pain or misalignment, crunchiness, constriction, it all needs to be adjusted. And I invite you throughout this practice to just kind of tune in and see, do I need more or less props with what I'm doing here? Let's see. Oh, safety, very important. If there is any discomfort where you feel like you need to move, or for any reason you need to move out of a pose, I just want to remind and encourage you not to come up, straight up, out of a pose. And I'm going to walk you through each one as we do them together. I'm going to demonstrate the pose, and then I'm going to kind of assess and watch and see if there's any way I can offer extra support to you in what I see and how your body is arranged. But you want to make sure that you're not jumping forward and out of anything, because we're going to have the spine opening, the different aspects of the spine in different positions. And so then the spine is going to settle into these different positions as we're working with relaxing muscles in the back and so forth. And I don't want you to jerk yourself. So when we come out of a lot of these poses where we're laying on our back or on our side, you want to roll to the side and use the strength of your arms and your hands. So not using the back muscles, the spine at all, to push yourself up and out of the position. And again, I will remind you of this as we do this practice together today, but just wanted to cover that. Again, discomfort of any kind, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, any of it is information. It's all a metaphor to rearrange. And I just want to say, don't settle when you can't settle, right? Because you see how hard it is. Like if we're not fully comfortable, it's hard to settle anyway. So don't try to force yourself to be comfortable when you're not. It's all perfect. It's all good. And that's part of the practice. So before we get into our practice today, I just wanted to invite you guys to do a little breath work with me with the intensity of the eclipse. I'm definitely feeling it myself. I was guided to have us go through a lion's breath 3 times together. Lion's breath really relieves face and jaw tension and also in the throat. And it's also a wonderful release of energy through the throat as we make some noise and we exhale. It just really moves a lot of energy. So I just want to invite you now with me to just take a deep breath. And if you want, you can close your eyes. You can have them open, whatever you're comfortable with. Let's take a deep breath in. And exhale out. We're going to stretch our tongue down and out of our mouth and on the exhale. And if you like, you could open your eyes really wide too and just release the stress, release the energy. So we're going to inhale. And it feels silly. It feels so good to just move the energy out. And we're going to do one more. So inhale and exhale. And roar like a lion if you want. Oh, I'm already feeling a little bit better. It's feeling a little bit better just to move that energy out. All right. So I also just want to invite you in this practice. We're really going to be connecting with the earth. We're going to be stabilizing. We're going to be relaxing and coming fully into the now in a sublime and potent now presence. So I just want to start to invite the element of the earth into your experience, just feeling, connecting with Earth Mama, that beauty, that stability, that grounding, and that surrender. And just to remind you to breathe. And the whole focus here is to imagine that we're melting. The body is melting and that we're safe in this beautiful container together and we're fully supported. The beauty of the practice of restorative yoga is that we're using physical props to support the body. And it's a symbol for us feeling supported on all levels right now during the shift, during these exciting times at the end of the year. So I just want to invite you now to just make sure you have all of your props. I sent a prop guide out with your registration for this workshop. So we have so many different options and homemade or DIY options. So just want to invite you now before we dive in, just make sure that you have all of your props. You have water and tea. I'm going to have some water. Okay. Oh, and also I was thinking just with how intense the energy is right now with the eclipse coming, we're only a few days away from it. We're definitely in that corridor now. If you have lavender essential oil or anything like that, you're welcome to also pause and anything like that for aromatherapy if you like that kind of thing. That always adds a lot more to the practice. Okay, and now we're going to get started. So I want to invite you now to get either a bolster or a large cushion, and we're going to do a supported child's pose. So I'm going to demonstrate to you. So I've got my bolster here. And what we're going to do is kind of sit on our shins and our feet and bring the bolster in between our bent knees. Just kind of pull it in and then just make sure that your spine is straight and looking forward. And you're just going to lower yourself down and just turn your face to the side. Feels nice. And you're welcome to close your eyes. And we're going to be here for a good long while. So see what feels comfortable for your neck. It may be you have to turn your face to one side or the other. If your neck is stiff, maybe one side of the neck is more stiff than the other side. Another practice that's really nice is to just put your forehead flat, if this feels okay for your nose, making sure you can breathe easily, of course, but just place your forehead flat onto your cushion or your bolster, whatever your support is, and press your forehead in to your supportive prop and start to just ground in. So I'm going to give you a moment just to get settled in, get into position, get feeling comfortable. And that's the whole phase one, is in everything we're going to do together throughout today and this whole series is finding that comfort so we can sink in. Okay. So once you're in, everyone, you're looking great. I also wanted to say, if after a few minutes, maybe if you're starting to feel it in your knees, you're welcome to put a rolled up blanket or towel into the backs of your knees, and that will give you more space in your kneecaps if throughout time you're noticing any discomfort. So this is where we can really flow with our props as we go. So just inviting you now to just surrender, just a deep inhale. Just exhale, and just giving ourselves permission to just let it all go. Affirming we're here in the now, how grateful we are for this moment. Breathing into the richness of this moment and this beautiful time together. Feeling your connection to the earth, the inner child. Really starting to feel that connection to Earth Mama. Breathing, and you can experiment with your hands throughout this practice. We're going to be here for about 7 minutes. So observe what you witness as we're doing this process. And if you want, you're welcome to stretch your hands out more in front of you, maybe, palms stretching, hands, fingers stretching and reaching to get a little opening in the neck. You can also bring your hands out to the sides. You can also bring your hands and kind of almost lay on your palms, like putting your palms of your hands face up under your shins or ankles, depending on what you can reach. And experiment with different positions of the arms. What feels good? You feel like a little rock, like a little stone, a little baby. See what feels good and just keep breathing. And now I just want to invite you to breathe into the back body. So as you're breathing, you're welcome to keep your eyes closed. We're going to do a little energy movement here. Just breathing into the back body now, bringing that energy, that freshness, that life force, the prana, the chi, seeing behind the heart chakra at the back. Breathing into that space. And as we exhale, just releasing anything that's stuck, old, lodged. On your next inhale, breathing into the kidneys, into the adrenals, those cute little hats, little beanies that sit on top of our kidneys that do so much for us. Breathing fresh prana. And if you want, you can envision the color of the prana, breathing it into your kidneys as a beautiful blue, a bright blue. Just breathing in that blue energy into the kidneys and exhaling out. And you're welcome to turn your head. If at this point you need to turn your head, we're a few minutes in, so you're welcome to change which direction your face is facing and get that evenness if that feels good to you in that side of the spine and neck. And just focusing on the qualities of the earth, stillness, inner silence, the nurturing quality of the earth, the abundance of resources. And just setting our intention together for this practice today and for this whole journey is getting comfortable with stillness. Sometimes stillness can be loud and it can feel like there's a lot going on in that void space. So just breathing in and exhaling out. If you feel a lot of energy or things you just like to release, if things come into your mind, you're welcome to inhale and just exhale audibly through the mouth. And the supported child's pose is just wonderful for supporting our flexibility in our back, our hips, our knees. It's very helpful to quiet the nervous system, to really bring us calm and centered. Any yoga poses that are bringing us forward and down are very relaxing for the nervous system. So if you have a hard time sleeping, child's pose can be very helpful if your mind is active. It's also a very powerful pose for the grieving process. So if you're releasing anything or have any friends that are in this space in their journey, this can really support them. So just coming back again to just releasing the old energy, releasing any fear, anything that doesn't serve us anymore. In this beautiful eclipse portal that we're in now, just imagining and giving thanks for the gestation of our being in this position. And we have a few minutes left, so I'm going to play the bowl for you while we're in this space to just enjoy and listen to the sounds, listen to your breath, focusing on the breath. Just breathing, surrendering, melting. Breathing into the back body, breathing into the heart space, just feeling the breath yawn us open. Just feeling everything collapse into this moment, the fullness of the moment. Okay, beautiful. And now we're going to come out of it and just really take your time. This whole practice is about slowing down and moving like a sloth, because most of our days are so full. We have so much going on. So we're just going to move slowly, just push yourself up and out of the pose when you're ready. And then I just want to encourage you, since we've had our knees bent for a little while, I know that's a while, so you're welcome to just straighten your legs and just, maybe bend forward a little bit gently over your legs, just to stretch them out a little bit. Just slow. And we're going to do one more child's pose like pose right now, where what we're going to actually do is we're going to be in child's pose. I'll come this way. Maybe this will give you a good way to see what I'm doing. And we're going to actually we're going to walk our hands to one side. So we're going to come down into child's pose, and you're going to walk your hands to the right and just come down, melt into the earth, and just feeling that stretch in your left side, kind of in the armpit, in the socket as the arm connects into the ribs. So we're going to be moving the spine in all directions today in a very passive and lovely fashion. We're going to be opening the chest, increasing oxygenation, making it easier by opening all the muscles. So just breathe into your side. See how deeply you can feel the stretch in a very lovely way, not too intense or extreme, in your left side. And you're welcome to inhale and rise up just a little bit, and then exhale and melt towards the floor. Relaxing your forehead into the floor. And, pushing the forehead into the floor or into our support of our props is very powerful for relaxing and really quieting the mind. It kind of puts a little bit of an off switch on the third eye and all of the higher mind faculties to kind of slow them down, brings a little stillness and quietness. And then when you're ready on your next inhale, go ahead and come up, and we'll come back to center of child's pose and come down. And then inhale. And now we're going to walk to the left and stretch the right side open and see how that side feels compared to the other side. Just go ahead and sink in and down. Just breathing into kind of the armpit area, the shoulder socket, the whole side. Just feeling how the inhale can stretch us open and the exhale, just release any tension, just see anything, any extra energy melting away. Just really connecting with that stillness, with that earth quality, with our root in these lovely poses. And then take another inhale and come back to center, and we'll come up slowly. And just take a breath. Okay. And now we're going to come into, this is one of my all-time favorites. You're going to need your bolster again, or large cushions, like couch cushions, large firm pillows, whatever you have. This is supported spinal twist. One of the most wonderful restorative poses, one of my all-time favorites. So what you're going to do is we're going to bring the support of our prop. We want to kind of be sitting down, just figuring out whatever's the most comfortable way for you. I kind of have one foot kind of on my thigh, and then the knee is bent and my other foot is kind of behind me. I'll show you another perspective of what this looks like, kind of like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring that prop into our left hip and upper thigh area so that it's at our side here. Okay. I'm going to take a breath in, and then slowly, spine straight, crown of head reaching up towards the heavens. We're going to turn to the left and walk our hands on either side of your prop and just start to lower yourself down. And you may need to bring the prop in closer into your side belly, and then come down. And if it feels comfortable for you, you can turn your face to face the wall behind you. If that feels comfortable, that would be a full twist. You're twisting the cervical spine when you do that as well. See what feels comfortable for you. And just start to breathe and sink in. This is an amazing, subtle refresher. When we do twists like this, if you imagine that you're wringing out a dish towel, just wringing out all that old water, that's exactly what's going on to our spine when we do twists like this. Is there's a nice gentle compression action going on all of our organs and the spine itself, and it's absolutely amazing for supporting us in the detoxification process, because we're giving a gentle, loving squeeze to all of our organs, so that when we unfurl from the twist in a few minutes, so I'm going to get our timer going. Speaking of that, when we untwist, we're going to do about 3 minutes aside here. We're going to be flooding the organs with fresh blood and oxygen. Now with this pose, you're welcome to kind of unbend your legs a little bit. It's totally fine to do that. Kind of straightening. If your knees are kind of getting a little agitated at being bent so much, I could totally understand that, because we are sitting a lot of our days. So just see what feels okay. And if you feel like you're sustainable and comfortable in this lovely supported twist, once you feel like, okay, yeah, I can let go, I can sink in, just start to breathe again into the back body, into the sides of your body, and feeling where there's pockets of tension. We're getting into some hard to reach areas in this practice, which is awesome. So just breathing and feeling, where is it kind of hard, for the breath to go into these tighter spots. And don't force the breath, just breathe, observe. You could notice tension around the ribs and the back body, and it's all good. It's just observing, breathing. And that's why we hold these poses for some time, because it enables us to go deeper in the opening. Just breathing deeply into the back body and just inviting you to just keep imagining as you're inhaling, you're bringing in fresh life force, fresh healing energies into your body, into your spine and your organs. And the Qigong masters always tell us to smile at our organs in thanks, giving so much thanks for how incredible our organs are as a filtration system. Look at the liver, the kidneys, our digestion. So some of the benefits of this are we're stretching the low back and releasing some of that lower back tension, which is very helpful for those of us maybe who have desk jobs or maybe a commute, we're sitting a lot. This really helps to kind of unfurl that. It also can help to stimulate and support our digestive system and thus cleansing our abdominal organs. And it increases our lymphatic flow, which is so helpful because our lymph system, our glandular system, doesn't have a heartbeat to pump itself. So practices like this are so valuable to support our longevity and overall energy levels as well. And this can be very helpful for those with scoliosis. Okay, so now to come out of this, because we are in kind of a vulnerable position, just go ahead and bring one hand on the floor on either side of your prop, and you're going to push into your hands. Use the strength of your hands and your arms to come up and out carefully, carefully. And come up into sitting and feel how it feels to inhale now, just sitting upright for a moment. And now what we're going to do is we're going to switch sides. So we're going to bring that prop to the other side of us, and we're going to bring it now into the right hip and the right thigh. Just go ahead and set that down. And it's always really interesting when we do the second side of anything in yoga, because then we can really compare, wow, what's going on either side of me today. So go ahead and bring that prop in, get your legs comfortable, kind of like a diamond window with your legs, with your knees, see what feels comfortable. Pull that prop in. And then you can start to walk your hands on either side and lower yourself and see now, okay, now we're on another side. Other side, oh, can I turn my face, to the wall behind me? Or is this side of my neck more stiff than the other or less? Just experiment, see what feels good here. I'm gonna start our timer. I'm gonna do 3 minutes on this side. Just lowering down. And it's so great because now we can breathe into this side of the body, the whole left side of the body. And it really enables us to breathe deeply into the kidneys, into the hips and low back. So just breathing. And just enjoying that feeling of support, that we're fully supported by these lovely props. And that it's a metaphor for all of life. I'm supported by the earth and our community, the divine, the universe. Just breathing. And again, we can just use the focus, the power of our mind as we're inhaling. I'm refreshing myself. I'm refilling myself. I'm not only healing my DNA right now in this beautiful practice of presence, but I'm upgrading it too. And my exhales are removing all the old, all the stagnant. And that can be literally with toxins that we have stored in the body. It can be figuratively with old thought forms, old stories we're totally ready to do away with, which we're fully supported in doing with this eclipse. Breathing. And it's also so important in this practice, if we realize, oh my gosh, I have quite a lot of tension, in my body, I didn't know. It's all good. This is part of building awareness. So there's no judgment. There's no, oh, this is the perfect way. it's wherever we are is the perfect way. And this is about bringing awareness. Oh yeah, I do have some tension here. These are hard to reach areas. Well, guess what? Now you have the support and this beautiful practice to help you in this and to opening up even more. Just breathing, checking in, seeing how you're feeling. So grateful for this opportunity to be together, to share time together, to share energy and support and community, to give ourselves maybe the nourishment that our bodies, so desperately crave. They give us so much. So it's such a lovely opportunity to give to ourselves. Okay, now we're going to get ready to come up and out of it. So go ahead and bring one hand on either side of your prop and press strongly into the palms of your hands, using your arm muscles to push yourself up and kind of walk back and just take a moment, let the spine entrain itself, orient itself. Oh, I'm up right now because we're going to do all kinds of interesting positions with it today. So it's going to probably think that we're doing quite an interesting, an interesting combination of things today. So this next pose that we're going to do is a supported side lean. And it's incredible for opening all the intercostal muscles here, the ribs, all of it. So it's an amazing, amazing stretch, a passive stretch to help us to get deeper breaths more into the entire cavity here. So what you're going to need for this, let's see, is this bolster that I have is probably a little bit too high. So this is where we're going to get creative. We're going to play around a little bit. So maybe a medium-sized bolster. You could also have a couple of blankets folded up. If you have a good sized pillow, I have kind of this medium bolster here, which you can see is like about the size of my thigh, So I'm going to demonstrate to you what this looks like. And then depending on your needs for your neck and your head and all of that, shoulders, we're going to build more props. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. You want to maybe have a pillow or a blanket rolled up or a towel rolled up to support your head and neck in this. So I'm going to show you first what this is going to look like, and then you can go from there. You're also going to probably want a pillow or a blanket for in between your knees, because we're going to be laying on our side, and our legs and our hips, our knees are all going to be stacked upon one another. And if we don't have support in between our knees, what happens is the hips, the knees are knocking together and it's pulling on the hips, it's pulling on the psoas and the low back, and it can create a lot of low back pain. So just FYI, if you're sleeping on your side, like I'm a side sleeper, it's the only way I'm comfortable in order to fall asleep. And I flip-flop side to side, but I have to have a pillow in between my knees so that they're not knocked together and pulling on my spine. Because if I don't do that, I'll have a lot of lower back pain. So if you're a side sleeper and you have a lot of pain in your lower back upon waking, consider maybe getting a body pillow or some kind of a nice pillow to put in between your knees so that they are not pulling on one another. Okay, so let me demonstrate to you how this is going to look. And then I'm going to show you how to build it, and then we're going to settle into it. So I've got a little blanket here just to kind of support in between my knees here. Okay. Now I'm going to come down on my side, and where the bolster is going to go is essentially kind of for women, it's kind of at that bra strap kind of line here. It's basically mid rib. My shoulder is going to be on the floor in between the props, and then my face, my head, kind of the side of my head is going to be on my blanket so that it feels supported. So we're going to come down. Okay, and then the arm is going to go straight in between and bring the head down. And then my other arm is going to go over my head like this. So you can have your arms kind of like this if this feels okay. See what feels good depending on your shoulders. The pose is supposed to be done like this. But just see what feels good for you. Make sure you have enough support here for your neck. Now, with this pose, the more your knees are bent, the less intense it's going to be. So the more your knees are bent in and towards the belly and chest, the less intense the stretch is going to be. Also, however high your prop is that you have underneath your chest, that's also going to increase the stretch. So you think about, okay, the height of my body from the floor with these props, it's going to increase the stretch. So just to start to get you used to working with props to support your body, the more that you straighten your legs, it's going to intensify the stretch. So just see what feels good to you. And see how you can sink in and prop yourself. Awesome. Make sure your neck doesn't feel crunched. If it feels too crunchy to have your, upper arm on your face, that's okay. You can bring it down, or kind of just here on the prop. Just see what makes it easier to settle in. And start breathing. Because you can feel that immediately. Once we start inhaling, you feel the ribs flaring out to the side. Like that. So I just want to encourage you now. We'll do some breath work here with this, okay? So you're welcome to close your eyes if you like, or you're welcome to watch me if you need more support with that. So we're going to inhale into the belly. Exhale. Then with time, the breaths will get deeper. I'm going to start our alarm here for our timer. We're going to do 3 minutes aside. And just noticing with time, as we continue to inhale, if it starts to make it easier to inhale, not only deep into the belly and moving the diaphragm, but now for the breath to rise up and into the chest. Just breathing. Inhaling into the belly and feeling it. And you can, if you like, as you're at the top of your inhale, what we call in yoga sipping the breath. So when you think you can't fit any more air in, you can try to sip a little bit until your lungs are truly at capacity, only if this feels comfortable to you. So I'll demonstrate. So I'm going to inhale into my belly first. And it's rising up. And then I'm going to sip the breath and hold it for a second and just feel it expand. And exhale out. Just see if that feels good. Sometimes, some of us, we need to exercise our lungs a little, stretch them a little bit. Just see what feels comfortable and safe for you. It's all individual. Just breathing. And check in, see, okay, how do my knees feel? Does my back feel okay? Is it easy for me to just concentrate my focus on my breath right now, on my lungs? Sometimes after a while, your neck may settle more. You may need a little more underneath your head and neck. Just see. Got 1 more minute here. So just keep breathing into the side. And you could be imagining we're laying on our right side right now. So just imagine, okay, I'm breathing fresh energy, love, and light into my heart, my physical heart, spiritual heart, and lungs. And exhale. And animals love this practice too. In all the information I shared on this course, I say pets welcome because they love the healing energy. They love to receive it and add to it with us with their presence. So they like to help too, of course. Just inhaling and just enjoying the breath, letting breath be our luxury. I mean, what a simple luxury that in the busyness of the day we can overlook or forget. Just letting the breath be the medicine. Okay, now we're going to get ready to come out. So you can take your top arm, which should be your left arm, left hand, and just start to press into the floor. And then take your other arm, just kind of walking back slowly, pressing up. And then we'll take a second here before we switch to the other side and just feel, wow, feel that difference. See what you feel in your chest. And then we're going to take the bolster now to the other side. And this is something that with time, it's really good to start with a more medium small, really, size bolster or prop in the beginning. And then you're welcome to build, and you can build height with your props by adding more blankets on top or more towels. You could even, let's say we only have so much to work with. You could take this bolster and you could put it on top of phone books or thick books at home, and bringing more of a rise, like a few more inches up, or putting it over, a rolled up blankets. Like, there's so many different ways that we can prop ourselves. And that's what's really fun about this, is the practice evolves with us. So just make sure you move everything to kind of flip side. So you've got your support for your head and neck. And then you've got your blanket or your pillow, whatever you're using for in between your knees. And just inviting you to have some water again if you haven't had water in a while. And just go ahead and start to settle yourself in, lowering yourself down. And as always, with the second side, that's always the adventure, is, wow, how does this side feel? Oh, it's always so nice when you first bring your arms up and over your head and take those first breaths and feeling, wow, feeling that opening in the ribs. Oh. Just breathing in, just feeling, noticing. Noticing if after just a few poses today, is it getting easier to breathe more deeply? Maybe not, just depends, but just observing. Just breathing in the stillness. And just seeing where the breath opens you up, where the breath is breathing you through your own body, through your muscles and tissue. And just knowing that most of the time in our day, we're only getting like 1/10 of the oxygen capacity that we could be getting if we were using all 3 levels of the lungs, because most of us are just breathing shallowly into the chest. And that actually can create over time, we go from children, we belly breathe, and then through time we grow up and we're more in our mind. So then we're breathing just more shallowly into the top chest. So we're really getting such a small capacity of what our potential is for oxygen. So practices like this are so vital for opening up our lungs and all the muscles around them to enable deeper breaths, much more nourishment through the prana of breath. And just taking one more deep breath in. And then go ahead and just use your hands carefully to push yourself up and out. Just sit up for a moment. Just see how you feel. Feels really nice and open there. And we're actually going to do another forward bend. So we're going to need our larger bolster or larger cushion. And what we're going to do, there's a couple ways to do this. This depends on how tight your hamstrings are, how your knees feel. Is essentially we're going to almost like do the splits, not full on, but just splay your legs out a little bit. Give yourself some room. So I'm going to face the camera just to show you. Put the bolster in between your legs, and depending on your hamstrings. Now I have injuries on both my hamstrings. So it's really intense for me to fold forward with my legs straight. It's too much. It really exacerbates these injuries. So what I like to do is kind of just do like diamond legs, bend your knees and just bring your feet in a little bit. You can even put your feet together if that's more comfortable for you like this, and then put the prop on top. And that also is going to lift it up a little bit more. Okay. Now the action that we're going to do is just to come forward and fold forward and bring your forehead down if that feels comfortable, or you can turn your neck either to one side or the other. Now, if the prop is not high enough for you to fully fold forward, we're going to stack some stuff on top. So you could, depending on what you're working with, stack more pillows on top, stack more blankets on top. When I was doing my teacher's training for this, I mean, we were putting like 6 blankets on top, to build the floor up to ourselves to make it comfortable. So do what you got to do to bring it up higher, so you can just really sink into it and just really feel supported. It's like you're having the most wonderful hug. And just come forward. And you're welcome to just put your hands at the sides, your arms, palms down at the sides of the prop if you like, kind of like child's pose. So this is another variation of a child's pose. Just bring your face down. And just really push gently your forehead into that prop. And breathe. I'm going to breathe into the back body. We're going to give so much attention to the back body today because we don't see it, so we're not always thinking about it. So breathe into the back, into the lower back, into the sacrum, into the kidneys again, the spine, the back of the heart chakra, the back of the neck. And just inviting you in a little imagination meditation exercise as we are here in this beautiful space, in this position here, to imagine a beautiful shower of golden energy showering down upon you right now, like this beautiful golden rain, just full of healing energy. Maybe it's like an amber, beautiful amber gold, honey syrup coming down from source, from heaven, from the divine. And it's flowing over your whole body, the whole back body, down over your shoulders, over your head, over the crown of your head, down all through your back, nourishing, revitalizing, replenishing. And just breathing in and seeing that beautiful color, exhaling out, and just focusing on the breath and just feeling like a hug. Some of the benefits of this supported seat angle are that it definitely quiets the mind. Again, anything forward and down is going to quiet the mind, quiet the nervous system. It also releases tension in the spine and the neck and the back, releases the hamstrings, and it promotes a balanced nervous system. So just breathing into the back body. Beautiful. We got about 1 more minute here. So just breathing. Beautiful. And now to come out, you can just slowly start to rise. Just slowly come up. Just really slow. It's the whole point of this is we're going to work so slowly with our energy and our muscles. And we're going to do a simple supported back bend. I'm going to go for the big guy, the big bolster with this, because I really want a deeper back bend. I'm observing, where certain parts of my lungs are tight because I've been very sedentary lately. It's really cold outside. It's definitely feeling like winter. So I have not been as mobile as I would like. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. So the position of this bolster is going to be similar to where the other one was when we did the side bend. It's going to be essentially kind of right here. Hello. Right here at the base of the shoulder blades, like the wing tips, so that we're going to be arching back over the prop. So you're going to also want something underneath your head, whether that's a folded blanket perhaps or a pillow. So just see what you're going to need. And it depends, all of the propping, because essentially, we're building the floor up to meet our body. So all of the propping is going to depend on the height of the main prop. So if we're using a big bolster, big high off the floor, we may need a little bit more for under the head, just seeing how high up we're going to come. So it's all an experiment. Okay, so I'm going to bring this down and lay, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to have our knees, so feet flat on the floor and knees bent. And just see, so this is a really big one. This might be too much for me. So this is good for me to show you in live time, like, okay, here I am, super ambitious, going for the big guy, and it might be a little bit too much. Let's see. Just see how you feel. And you could do in yoga, we call it cactus arms, where your arms are at your sides, laying flat on the floor next to you, or you could have them, palms down. You could have them kind of more out to the side. Make sure you have enough room. So I'm going to go with a smaller prop. And just to show you now, this is a very deep back bend. We are going way back to open. So when we come out, you want to go to the side. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to come up and to the side, and I'm going to use a different prop. So this is good because it shows you in live time, okay, how do we adjust? How do we work with it? And, maybe one day a really big prop is great. And maybe the next day it feels terrible. So, the body's going to be different every day, sometimes by the hour too. Okay, so this is essentially going to go about right here. Okay, so come back, knees bent, feet flat. Okay, and then make sure that your head is raised. So you want to make sure that your throat isn't crunched, but also the top of your head isn't going so far back that then the throat is like blown open and there's a lot of pressure on the cervical spine. So it's kind of this princess and the pea. I always joke around about that with restorative yoga. It's very much princess and the pea because you want it to be just right. Well, that's Goldilocks, isn't it? Just right. So just see. But it's really important because depending on how open we open up our physical, it's impacting the chakras as well. It's all connected. So once you find your position for your back at least and your neck, then what you can do is you can have your feet a few inches below your bottom, and then you can actually kind of heel toe, walk your feet wider, almost like as wide as it would be a yoga mat, and just knock your knees together. Let your knees rest on one another. And then you're taking a lot of the effort out of the muscles of the low back and the sacrum. So ideally, you can just focus on the chest opening. So just breathing, seeing what feels comfortable here. You also want to feel into this. This is going to bring a different level of awareness to the back body and our shoulder blades. So you want to make sure that the shoulder blades, like they don't feel crunched or weird, or maybe one shoulder blade is higher than the other on this prop. So you might have to do some wiggling. Hold the prop in place and kind of arrange yourself so that you feel like, okay, nothing's crunchy back there. You don't want anything crunchy. So just experiment with what feels amazing. And see what feels good for where you want to put your arms, what feels good for your shoulders. And just breathe deeply into the chest. So we're getting a lovely opening in the chest today. Just observing. So this eclipse is a very intense one, and the astrology for, for many of us, it's bringing up a lot of fear or dredging up old emotions. So I'm observing in myself this whole week, it's a lot harder to breathe deeply. I'm observing right now on this bolster, like, wow, my diaphragm is really tight. So it's hard for me to breathe into my belly and to pull that breath up, So it's just having compassion for where we are and just breathing and knowing that things will soften. Don't judge the experience or the body. Just love yourself, give yourself that love, that tenderness, and breathe. Just breathing in, observing it. Where is it hard for it to go, maybe? Where is it easy for the breath to go? And over time on this prop, as the body melts over it and we're working with gravity, the breath is yawning open the body. You'll start to notice more of a horizontal opening in the upper chest, kind of with the clavicle muscles. So it becomes easier for the breath as it comes up into the higher parts of the lungs to kind of go sideways or laterally, as well as up or down, which is what we want. We want to be able to spread. And for some of you, when we get into these poses like this, longer term, it's harder to be still, perhaps, depending on the mind. And so if you find it's hard to be still and the mind wants to distract from the healing, from the subtle energy stuff that's going on, you're welcome to gently just inhale your arms up and back and exhale them down, and try to make your arms weightless so that it's not straining. Just see what you need, because as we do this subtle work, a lot will arise. Just see what feels good, if that's not too much pressure. Sometimes adding the movement with the breath, just as a tip, when we're doing this kind of work, can help us to stay in it so that we don't try to distract and leave. Okay, so I only want us to be here a few minutes because this is a big one. So decide which side is easy for you to start to roll over. I'm going to roll over to my right, facing you. And we're not going to push up yet. Once you roll over to your side, you can stay on the prop for a second and just let the spine orient, because that's a really big opening and it's not a usual position. So we want to be really tender. And then gently you can start to push with your hands, and don't use your back. Just use your arm strength to push up carefully. Beautiful. Okay. So now we're going to come into my other most favorite pose, and this is legs up the wall. You have a couple options here. You can use the wall. You can put your feet up on a couch, a table, a chair, whatever is in your environment. So I'm going to demonstrate at the wall in a moment. And before I do that, just whatever you're using to elevate yourself. Really, the goal is that we're turning into kind of an upside down L. So you would imagine, okay, here are your feet and shins and legs, and here's your knees, and then here is the thighs going into the pelvis. So we want to have kind of this beautiful waterfall effect where we're going anti-gravity, basically. We're reversing, we're rewinding what's our usual upright position. So it's the most advantageous. You're going to get a very different level of benefit if you go up at the wall. So that's my preference, but it depends on you. It depends on your blood pressure and all of these things. So whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm going to show you how to do this at the wall. So first I got to make some room because all my props are in front of the wall. You can also prop yourself before going up onto the wall, meaning that you could have a bolster up against the wall, a pillow, a couple blankets. It's really up to you how you want to do this. You could just have just your bare bottom on the floor. My floor is cold concrete right now with the weather. So I'm going to put a little blanket just underneath my bottom and my back so that I'm not on the cold floor. But there's so many ways to do this. So remove a few things and show you how it's done. So first I'm going to put my blanket here, the floor. Let me move a couple more. Okay, let me move some things so you can see what I'm doing. That's what's so funny about restorative yoga is we're surrounded with props and we have to keep rearranging our room and our whole space. So what you want to do, essentially you're going to come sideways to the wall. So I'm going to move, you can see I got my blanket here, and I'm going to start to come close to the wall. I'm going to sit as close to the wall as I possibly can. And then I'm going to kind of half roll my feet up and start to lay down on my back. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing this. So you can kind of like a little turtle kind of start to roll onto your bum and onto your back and come close. And then you can scoot. You can go side to side, scoot your bum as close as you can so it's touching the wall. And then put your feet up. Oh, it feels so good. This is one of the best. It's like once you're in position, you can just feel a whole rewind. You can feel all the energy just flowing down your legs and it pools into the pelvis. So we're actually going to get an amazing fresh blood flow and oxygen into the pelvis and into all the digestive organs. So we're going to be here for a few minutes. Just breathing in, just feeling how nice it feels to have your feet up. Just breathing. And this is an amazing pose to do anytime you're going to have a little rest. If you like to take naps during the day, I highly recommend, whether it's legs up at the wall or up on your bed. If you're laying on the floor, you know, you could put your feet on a chair, on the couch, on the bed, depending on how high your furniture is. And wow, it really restores you. Also really helpful for women if you're on your moon to do a little bit of an inversion, not as dramatic as legs at the wall, because that's too much pulling into the abdominal cavity, but a little bit of a lift for the legs and feet when you're on your moon is just so nourishing. Really excellent self-care. So just feeling that, oh, this is so great. Focusing on that rewind quality of the day, getting all of our energy back, preparing for the second half of our day, or, you know, maybe getting into the evening. Work is maybe done for the day and starting to take care of the pets, the children, dinner time. Just breathing. And then we're going to come out of this really slowly. So you can just start to bend your knees, slowly bringing your feet closer to the body, kind of bringing your knees into your chest, and then roll to the side. And sometimes, you know, you might have to push away from the wall a little bit with your feet in order to then lay on your side and come up kind of like a little beetle or a little turtle. And then we're going to come into a supported Shavasana. So for this, make sure you've got a little pillow or a folded blanket for underneath your head. And then you're going to want a bolster, a larger bolster, maybe a couple pillows, have some height. And we're going to put the bolster underneath our knees so that you're having a little bit more of an elevation. And then I wanted to show you something that's really important when we are doing our restorative yoga practice. just to show you like how all the little things, all the subtle things matter so, so much. So for instance, okay, I love the big props, right? So I've got this underneath my knees, this big bolster here, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to lay back. And what's going on? Oh my gosh, my feet are like floating in the air. And that is so uncomfortable. It is so ungrounding. So you want to have something underneath your feet, whether it's another pillow, maybe a couple stacked blankets. So I'm actually going to take, I have a pillow here. So first you have to experiment a little bit and see, okay, where are my feet even going to be, you know? So we want to kind of start like a tree, like from the feet, the roots and up. So make sure you have a little bit of pillow, a couple stacked blankets, something so that your feet aren't floating, because if they're floating, oh my gosh, that's so much air element that it's very hard to feel grounded if you know, and to feel stable and to feel supported if you kind of feel like you're floating in outer space. This is the opposite of what I want you to experience. So first, make sure that your feet have something to feel supported so you're not floating in the air. And then I highly recommend some kind of a heavy blanket, couple blankets, towel, and put that over your feet, ankles and shins and knees, so that we start to really feel kind of grounded in there. You can kind of tuck it around your toes if you want, so that nothing is exposed, because when we go into Shavasana and we go into kind of more meditation, there's more ether, we could get chilly. So if you want to have a blanket or some layers on, and now make sure, okay, yep, you know, my legs are supported with this wonderful bolster. And then we have to kind of figure out where our head and neck is going to go from here, and go on and lay yourself back and adjust your head and neck. And if you want another blanket for the rest of your body, you're welcome to that. And then go ahead and just kind of adjust your shoulders, maybe lift one shoulder at a time. And you want to kind of roll the shoulder out to the side of the body and press it down, and make sure that your shoulder blades feel flat beneath you on the floor. They don't feel crunchy, and maybe, you know, not like one of your shoulder blades or one of your wingtips is like cocked. You know, you want to try to make sure that your back is flat, and that's going to facilitate more of an opening here across the collarbones. So once you feel like, okay, I can finally just drop in and really melt into the earth. And if you have an eye pillow or a scarf, this is a great time to cover your eyes if you like. Okay, so just get really settled, really comfy. This is usually when the animals come in. And I'm going to play the bowl for you, and we're going to just do a lovely little meditation here. Let's make sure you're nice and warm and snuggly. And I'll play the bowl for you. It's our lovely heart chakra bowl here. I'm just inviting healing and grounding and stability, and just such a sense of feeling nurtured and supported in our days from this practice together. Just breathing into the back body again and feeling it connected to the earth. Feeling our feet heavy and so relaxed. Our ankles and calves heavy and so relaxed. Feeling your knees sinking into the support of your props and so relaxed and heavy. Feeling your thighs and pelvis dropping in, rooting down, pressing into the earth. And feeling where your back is connected to the floor. Just so grounded, melting into the earth like it's a sponge, so supportive. Just holding you. Breathing, allowing your neck to relax, head to feel heavy. Soften your eyes, soften your jaw, your tongue. Shavasana means the corpse, so we want to pretend that we're that relaxed. No gripping. See if you're gripping, to drop in, release. Feeling like you're melting into the earth. Surrender, practicing the art of surrender. Just breathing and following the waves of sound, floating on the waves of sound. I'm going to read number 12 from the Radiance Sutras. There is a current of love energy that flows between earth below and sun above. The central channel of your spine is the riverbed. The streaming is as delicate and powerful as the tingling touch of lovers. Entering here, radiance arches between, above, and below. Your whole attention resting in the subtle, vibrating in the center of the spinal column, tracing the current between earth and sun, becoming magnetism, relating all the worlds. And when you're ready, there's never any rush to open your eyes at all. That's the last step, I say. But just start to kind of maybe wiggle your fingers and toes just a little bit, just a little. Come back into the moment, into the room, taking your time. And when you're ready to open your eyes, softly taking in the space around you, seeing if your eyes maybe feel a little different, a little softer. Just taking your time. There's never any rush at all. You can hug your knees into your chest, rock side to side on your spine. Just taking that time. And when you're ready, just slowly come into seated. As I thank you all so much for joining me today and for gifting this to yourself. I know I feel a lot better than before we began because the eclipse is intense. So just want to remind you all to take good care, go slowly, and you can come back to this recording as often as you like. And I look forward to seeing you next week on Wednesday. So thank you so much. Namaste, and I'll see you soon.